Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. My name is Jonathan Ashford. I'm a public information officer currently assigned to the Southwest Oregon Joint Information Center based here in Merlin. We're doing our daily fire update, talking about 6 or 7 fires across southern Oregon that we are communicating with and trying to get you the latest information of what's happening. Want to give you a heads up as we head into the weekend. We are expecting some weather to come through. No moisture associated, unfortunately, but we are expecting an increase in our winds. We're being told that we're to expect northeast winds. This is a little bit of a change, and we've had this occasionally over the last week or two. It does affect our fires in a couple of ways. By having clear air over the fire, that smoke's going to get pushed out by those winds. It allows our fire to get up and breathe a little bit. So you can expect to see a little more fire activity, potentially more smoke actually moving up into the atmosphere and getting pushed off to the southwest. Hopefully that will give us some cleaner air here in town for breathing, make it easier for us, but that also makes it easier for the fire to become more active. On a positive note, it also allows us to get aircraft up. Over the last few weeks, there's been some days where we can't get helicopters and planes up in the air to try to put water or retardant in places we need it, especially in places where we can't put personnel because it's just not safe to do so. If we get that clear air, some winds to get that smoke out of there, it gives us better eyes on the fire and give us an opportunity to re-engage with those aerial resources that on some of these days, unfortunately, have had to sit and watch the show with the rest of us. So, get you an update on our fires today. We're going to start with Taylor Creek, right here in the Merlin Grants Pass area, up to 52,222 acres. That is an increase of just over 2,500 acres from our report yesterday. Some of that's based on an inability to fly the night before and get a really good mapping with the infrared stuff to see where the heat is and see where the fire has moved. We're maintaining a 52% containment at this point. That's no change since yesterday's report, with 757 personnel working on the fire. The west side of Taylor, still contained, got black line, good line over there. Same thing on the north end. Unfortunately, Bear Camp Road still closed. That's just due to some hazards that we're trying to mitigate so that before we let you back in that area, that we make sure it's safe for folks to be driving along that road. East side, Taylor, black line, still contained, things going well on that side. Most of the activity and the acreage gain is going to be in between Klondike and Taylor. That's where we still have some open fire. We also have some firing operations in there to help clean up some of that area. So you very well may see some good smoke and potentially fire activity on that southwest side of Taylor. It's well within our containment line, so we're still feeling good about those operations. Klondike, just to the south. 62,731 acres. That's an increase of just over 3,600 acres from yesterday, maintaining 15% containment with 799 personnel working on the fire. As I said, there's going to be some burn operations and some natural burning between the two fires on the north side inside our containment lines. The big area that we're focusing personnel and most of the effort is this southeast corner. We had that fire come across the Illinois River a few days ago. It's still moving south and west, although slowly at this point. So what we're trying to do is keep it west of $8. So at this point, $8 Mountain, not involved in the fire. It's actually in the terrain just west of $8 Mountain. We've got a lot of crews down here, including our Type 1 hotshots, who are working with previous lines that had been built for Chetco Bar on the Biscuit, and they're reopening some of those lines, and where they need to and where they have a safe opportunity to do so, they're doing burn operations to build a nice east side containment to prevent that fire from making a move to the east. Now, it is a concern. Northeasterly wind could push that a little bit south. We're looking at Babyfoot Road, has got a lot of attention in the last few days. We're hoping that's an area maybe we can slow it down or even get it to hang up on the road there. We'll see how that works with the wind and the work the crews can get done today before that weather comes in and affects our fire behavior. So that's definitely our area of focus. On the west side of both these fires, you may have heard a little bit, we do have a Type 1 incident management team, so kind of the highest level, coming in, and they're going to start working over the weekend on the west side of both Klondike and Taylor Creek, and they'll be based more out of the Agnes area, so folks over there may see some increase in activity with personnel coming in and out of that area. We're going to go ahead and move up to the Miles Fire. Miles Fire today is reporting 32,715 acres. That's an increase of just under 200 acres with 30% containment. That's an increase of 5% in containment. So we're getting good work done there. West side, south side, bottom of the east side, still doing well with our containments. We haven't blacked those lines in and said it's definitely contained yet, but we're feeling really good about the work that's being done, trying to keep the fire in its current footprint. On that north side, between the Columbus and the Miles fire, is where we're having a little bit of growth. They've got containment lines, contingency lines on the east and west side of that area between the two fires. So we're letting it kind of do what it wants in there until we need to intervene and maybe do some firing operations in there. But right now it's looking really good that those two are going to stay inside those lines and potentially move together at some point. But that at this point is going to be up to Mother Nature if that's what wants to happen between the fires. Snowshoe, we mentioned yesterday 100% containment. Still listing at 3,816 acres. That's no change from the 100% containment from yesterday. No change in acreage. So most likely this is going to be our last report on Snowshoe. As repair work begins, there's still going to be crews in that area. So we're not just going to take our eyes off it and leave it alone. We'll still have folks in there to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be. But we're going to focus now on trying to restore some of the work that had to be done in order to contain that fire. So good news on Snowshoe. Moving on down to Hendricks. Hendricks down here, just over 1,000 acres, 1,082 acres, no change from yesterday. Still listed at 90% containment with 64 personnel. They're going to continue working there, patrolling fire lines, strengthening fire lines. You still could have some pockets of heat in the interior, but at this point there's not much along the edges. So inside you may see some smoke. You may see a little fire activity if you have the right viewpoint. But along the edges, we're making sure it stays right where it is, and we're working quickly on trying to get some of those road closures lifted and potentially even taking off the evacuation level 1 that everyone around that fire is currently working on. But hopefully that'll get an update in the next couple of days. Moving on to Natchez. Right there on the state line with California. Natchez, currently 18,618 acres. That's an increase of just over 1,600 from yesterday. And containment is at 57% with no change. 874 personnel on the fire. North side, still looking good. Containment, that 57% is primarily that north end. Folks that are down in Happy Camp, you'll notice on the map we've got a little bit of fire here. It's actually quite a bit of fire. They're doing a lot of work in there to put in contingency lines and containment ahead of the fire to make sure that with these northerly, northeast winds, if that starts to push south, we do our best to keep it away from the community. If you've got questions about what's happening on Natchez or the burn operations, there's going to be a community meeting tonight in Happy Camp. That'll be at 6 p.m. at Grange on 2nd Street. So Grange on 2nd Street, Happy Camp, 6 p.m. tonight. If you'd like further detail or you've got questions for the folks that are managing this fire, come on down, Happy Camp, 6 p.m. tonight, Grange on 2nd Street. Hope to see you there if you have questions. Stay in touch with us on Facebook. We'll be here every day at 10:30 to give you the updates on the fire. Hope to see you tomorrow because that wraps up our briefing for today. Thanks for joining us.